All right, so thank you everyone for coming. This is our, oh gosh, I think our fourth, right? Our fourth virtual event. And yeah, just as we've been saying, it's been so fun. It's been really cool to be able to connect everyone, including people who, we have someone from Iowa today. We have people from all over. So that's been really, really special. Just tweet us at MnSearch as you get definitely some awesome tidbits from Erin's presentation. And feel free to use the hashtag MnSearch. And if you have any questions about membership or anything, we're always available for you at board@mnsearch.org. Also want to give a big shout out to our sponsors. We've got Rocket 55, and they are actually our virtual event sponsor. So they are responsible for helping us make all of this free and have awesome speakers like Erin at no charge. I know we all miss the fajitas, but hopefully those will come back soon. Also want to call out Rank Crankers, Click 360, NordicClick, and Hook Agency. And if you're interested in sponsoring MnSearch and getting your logo right up here, just email sponsorship@mnsearch.org, visit our website, or if you know Micah Kruzakili, just email him. This is our board of directors, and as Michael was saying, we are actually looking for an events co-director to help out once things start to transition back to in-person. So if you have any interest in that, again, just email board@MnSearch or contact any one of us, and we'd be happy to get you more information. And then finally, membership. So I know these meetings are virtual, but they will not always be that way. We would love to talk your ear off about how great being a MnSearch member is and what that means. If you're interested, members@mnsearch.org, or head to our website. And as Josh said, it's about, breaks down to a little over $10 a month, which is actually pretty much exactly what I paid for my decaf coffee yesterday. So if you break it down into that, it's not so bad. All right, now on to the good stuff. We have the fabulous Erin Weiche here, CEO of GatherUp, and he's going to be talking about the 5x review strategy and just the ever-growing importance of reviews. But I'm going to let you take it over, Erin. Let's turn it over to you.
Welcome, everybody, and thanks for having me, as always. Number of things to discuss tonight. Want to try to share as much as possible. Hopefully you've been like me during all of this. I've definitely taken it with all of my extra time from not driving kids to events, traveling, everything else. Use that to double down on what I can learn, what I can take in, new perspectives, things like that. So we're going to talk a lot tonight about a strategy that I put together called the 5X review strategy. But with that, just to jump into a couple of things, one, obviously impossible not to have anything and not talk about COVID. I did want to share, just because we've really, as many companies have, we doubled down on our content creation. And we have about a dozen posts really related to businesses, COVID, reviews role in them. Google was on a very big roller coaster with shutting off reviews and turning them back on, and what happened in categories. So if you want to take in a lot of that content, just by going to gatherup.com/COVID, that will redirect you to our blog category that has all of our COVID posts. In the next couple of weeks too, we have some pretty juicy research coming on what do reviews look like between Menards and Home Depot, and some of the things that have gone on with some of their COVID and mask policies over time, which will likely have some entertainment value to them as well, because reviews can definitely have entertainment value along with them. One other thing to think about, just if you're not paying attention to reviews every minute of the day like I am, a big change took place amongst service category businesses at Google. They've rolled out what's called Google Attributes. So this is going to be in things like appliance repair and legal and law firms, dentists, a number of things like that. So within that, Google Attributes, you're definitely going to want to read up on this and understand it, because it allows reviewers to be able to leave context with their star rating. in just a couple of clicks. And really what this was looking to solve for Google was content only or rating only reviews. So people would just click and leave 5 stars, and because words are so hard to type and we're not all that motivated, they would just leave that rating, and that rating alone is often not helpful. So our study showed through the nearly 3 million reviews that we've monitored in our system that 34% of those contained no content. They were just star ratings. So we really look at this move by Google is to solve these contentless and contextless reviews. So how this looks when you go to leave a review in these service categories is the minute you give a star rating, it then asks what you like or don't like about the business. So if you rated it low, a 1 or a 2 star, then it would say, great, what didn't you like? And you can click on any of these and still write your content. If you did like it, then you'd be able to select what you liked about the business. But we've already seen this incredibly take off with adding a lot of content to reviews and getting rid of rating only reviews. So if you have clients in service areas that are affected by this, you can test this just by going to your client's GMB review profile, clicking that you're going to write a review, and the minute you click on a star rating, you're going to see that secondary question about what did you like or not like about the business. All right, so let's talk about reviews, and let's talk about some of the things that aren't so great about reviews. The first thing I want to set some high level how to view reviews. And I see far too often business owners as the #1 offender, and then us as marketers as the #2 offender. And we look at reviews as like Gollum views the ring, right? It's this unbelievable thing. It's precious, and it's so wonderful. And especially with how we view something like Google reviews, because they're so visible and so out there with it that we become obsessed. And we become obsessed to the point that Plumber just here in the Twin Cities has done enough between probably having review systems, maybe incentives, I don't know, anything else. But when you see a plumber with 4,000 reviews, there's been some serious effort and work done to achieve what you'd normally see associated with a TV on Amazon. And really a big misconception, I think, for a lot of people is they view their review count as like this scoreboard, right? It's like, I have 102, I have 84, I have 12, and my competitor only has 10, or I'm beating my competitor by 3 reviews. And you really don't want to view it as just like this, basketball game scoreboard that's there and having that piece to it. So within that, you definitely want to be just taking a bigger view between these, and like no review is more valuable than another. It's not just about the count of reviews or the rating that you have there. There's a lot more to it. And those are some of the things that I want to help peel off for everybody tonight. I do want to include, besides the strategy I'm going to share with you tonight, because people, the #1 question, if I gave this presentation and I didn't touch on some of these things, the first question would absolutely be, how do I get more reviews? That's the thing that's asked all the time. So I'd like to share this high level, no matter what aspect that I'm talking about with reviews. #1, do not discount the power of the human ask, the one-to-one ask, right? So much easier when consumers are in your store or you're having that interaction, but even as you're having that communication digitally, to close out a purchase or scheduling a service or anything else like that with someone, and just let them know that getting a review would really mean a lot to your business, helps your marketing, helps others know about your business through however you're communicating, can go extremely far. And it's low cost. It's just remembering to do it and then making it easy by dropping a good link where they can go to write that, or giving them direction on where you'd like to see that review take place. Obviously, the next one is to use a platform like GatherUp or some of the other ones that are out in the market. Why we've seen so many businesses and marketers migrate to this is for a number of reasons. Like one is easy entry into the system where you're automatically emailing or sending them a text afterwards. On the right side, my visual here is demonstrating we actually have an inbound SMS feature. So a business can have a sign that says, let us know how we did today, text the word feedback or the word review to this number. And this is what the experience would look like on their phone. When you use a platform or a tool, they're going to have reminders and automation. So not only in that first email ask, but then it'll likely have follow-up. So you can ask them, a second or a third time to try to capture their feedback and their review. It also ends up being very process driven, right? You're able to have a number of things from acquiring it to managing it to replying to reporting on it. All of those things take place. And lastly, one of the best things, no matter what you're using, is to really find your activator. What's the right timing for the ask? And after this slide, I'll kind of share what that looks like. But overall, you really want to build a flywheel type strategy, right? And I tell people to expand past reviews. Reviews are almost more of a tactic, but customer experience is the strategy. And you want to zoom out to that and really realize we need ways to capture what our customer thinks about our experience so we can accentuate the awesome things and keep doing them. We can improve the things where we're maybe challenged or not doing as good of a job. And then as we're going to touch on today, how do we amplify the things that we're doing in the customer experience? The businesses that do this best, they have it baked into their business, right? It's part of their process, the same way to fill out a form, fill out an online form, whatever that might be, that is like part of the intake process to get started as a customer, making sure that you have an outgoing process that asks, how did we do? Where could we do better? Rate us on this. Please write us a review. That should also be part of your process. And really the biggest takeaway along all of this stuff that I tell people is the real goal is not getting more reviews. The real goal is like knowing what your customer thinks, because that's the goal that you can invest a million different places in your business, in marketing, in operations, in customer service across the board. A Google review has some pretty specific marketing benefits to it, but it isn't as solid as knowing what your customer thinks. And at the end of the day, everyone in your world, of your customer world, is not in position to write a review on Google. Some people don't want to be that public with their opinion. So if you offer ways for them to talk to you, you're going to get even more of first-party reviews and that direct feedback. So when you're doing this, I always tell people the one thing that I would focus on is to maximize the ask, right? While it's really easy just to say, hey, great, would you give us a review? When you have a system set up or you use a platform, or even if you home build something that captures as much customer experience data as possible, that's what you want to do. As I phrase this, what the mantra we follow at GatherUp is like, we want to be the best 2-minute conversation post-experience. And we really want it to be in and out like a robbery. So we help capture NPS, CSAT, first-party reviews, and third-party reviews, all in one quick, seamless, easy, non-painful process. Because at the end of the day, this is a brand touch. And the last thing you want to do is like make an experience with your brand not so wonderful because you ask 30, 40, or 50 questions. Now, in the opposite to maximize, something you can focus on to minimize, and yes, I meant like all caps, and I made to yell this, is where a lot of businesses skip. They're all about the push of, we need more great reviews, we need more great reviews, we need more great reviews. And they fail to take a really easy step to say, how do we minimize the negative reviews? And obviously a really difficult thing is to improve your service, but at a minimum, go to your website and do you have visible an easy way for a customer to leave you feedback or to leave you a complaint? And if it takes 2 clicks, 3 clicks, 5 clicks, whatever else, like you're already losing because they understand how to go complain about you on Google. You need to give them a quick and easy direct route on your own site. You need to be reaching out and say, hey, if we didn't do great, we'd love it if you talk to us. As marketers, you guys will get this. We will put 30 pop-ups on our site, 6 different calls to action. We will test and optimize every last thing to get a sale, an add to cart, sign up for our newsletter, give us your mobile number. And we spend 0 time ever thinking, how can a customer communicate with us if they don't want to buy? How does our current customer access us? And this is no more prevalent to me. Like I just made sure this was still there and grabbed this screenshot. Here's Arby's website when you go to leave feedback. If you are willing to go through the specific hoops in learning how to decipher an Arby's receipt, granted you needed to keep your Arby's receipt once you wanted to give them feedback, positive or negative, and you jump all through these hoops, you can then fill out their questionnaire, which if you go through this, it's a terrible questionnaire, too many questions. And as I always say, it's easier and faster to eat your lunch at Arby's than it is to tell them how your lunch was. So my next point, finding your activator, right? Like this is where you want to find that aha moment that when we ask in this way at this time, we really see a lift. And the easiest way to talk about this is like what we have found for ourselves at GatherUp. We're lucky enough that we've earned 115 really solid reviews, most of them 5 stars, some lower than that from our customers, loving the experience with us. But what we found is there's 2 different times that we ask for reviews. And for a long time, we didn't do the one that's most successful. So automatically our system's built that at 90 days of working with us, we are going to send a review request out of our system and ask for feedback. How are things going? Evaluate us on a couple of these areas. And would you leave us an online review, part of that process? And as you can see here, our feedback rate below 10%, and you can see it generates some clicks to Google and some reviews left. But what we figured out a couple of years ago is after our support team helps a customer with an issue, resolves something, points something out, educates them on it, and then we send a follow-up, you can see because we have solved a problem and it's an aha, it's a great moment and we're capturing it, plus they already just interacted with someone on our team, you see that our feedback rate of capturing a first-party review is almost 30%, and you can see it dominates us getting positive reviews. So this is a really easy way just to outline for us. Like we found that while software is great and our software by itself will make people write great reviews and say great things about us, it's exceptional service layered over the top of that that really is a difference that compels people to want to go and write a review about it. So when we look at these and we analyze it, right, this is just one example where the customer is raving about the service, specifically naming an employee. When I look through those 115 reviews, customer support is mentioned 50 times, right? 40% of those reviews are because of that customer support. And staff specifically are named in 29 of those reviews, especially our customer success and sales team. So Gatlin and Chris and Mike and Josh, these guys, we're seeing their names over and over again within this because of the positive impact they made, an impact that's worth sharing and talking about. All right, so I got kind of some recent news and the staple I always get asked about on here. So next, what we want to get to of what the title and the meat of the topic is today is, how do you max out the value of your reviews, right? Like Richard Simmons, I think he personifies this, like the guy got the most out of his career for being the most quirky, crazy get up, larger than life personality that's out there, right? So like, we need to make these reviews sweat and do a lot more work. So the first thing from a perspective and a strategic standpoint that I would tell you is like, and this is what I was talking about earlier, stop being a hoarder, stop thinking you're collecting reviews like books on a bookshelf, right? And this is exactly of, you get a book, you read it, and then you put it on the shelf and all it does is collect dust, or it's part of your design element, or it fills space on that shelf. I have them here in my office too, a bunch of dictionaries. I don't know the last time I cracked one of those open. But within that, it's like really understanding that like reviews don't have to just go on the shelf and die. There's a lot more that you can do with it. And you really should view them instead of books on a shelf and part of a collection is that they're tools and you need to put them to use. And as digital marketers, as search marketers, we're always looking for what's another tool that I can put to use. And instead of looking at like a platform or a tool like GatherUp as the tool, it's actually the reviews themselves that are the tool. So within this, I kind of created a 5X strategy and helps you understand like, here's 5 different ways to utilize these reviews. So you're using them over and over again. And it delivers a lot of different value to different aspects of your digital presence, both on your website and within your social media channels. So understanding can deliver that is really a big thing. And I would say for those of you, in SEO and content, you really understand this, like it's really similar to repurposing content. And your reviews are evergreen content with that, because there's a number of ways you can use them that you can drop the date off them. And it doesn't matter if you got that 5-star review 8 years ago, you can use it today and have impact. And at the end of this too, I'll also touch on a bonus to the 5X, even though I think I've already delivered some pre-bonuses, but really understanding like learning is an incredible value out of it as well. So at a high level, here's the 5 things that go into the 5X review strategy that I want to break down for you. One is summarizing your reviews. The second is the recency of your reviews. The next one is reviews by location. Then after that, theme or keyword-based reviews, and then the last being social media. So the first one in summarizing your reputation, right? This is a great way to lead on your website in a way that keeps it simple and greets visitors with a high level star rating and your volume to help them understand. It's not every last detail about each review, but it's letting them know we have a customer base, it has strength to it, and overwhelmingly they continually give us a good solid rating. And to go a step further, you'd be very wise then to use it as a teaser and you make it clickable where then they can read all those reviews if they want to dig in further. And to me, that's especially even more important as you get into, if you're in the low 4s and things like that, you want people to dig in and be able to see what's good and bad about your business. So a couple of examples of the summarization. Here's cell phone repair. When you go into each of their locations, this one from Maple Grove, you can see here up at the top that there's a 4.46 rating based on nearly 1,000 reviews that are there. If I click the review count, it's then going to take me to where all those reviews live on the site. Here's another one for Allstate. When I come into an agent landing page, it lets me know Steve here has 270 reviews and just visually showing he has about a 4.5-star rating. When I click this, it then jumps down the page to where the reviews are located on the page. Here's a way to work it into content, right? So here's a camper sales business on their homepage, campers for sale, allowing you to search your inventory, getting you ideas on their RV park village and where they're located. But then they have a specific section dedicated to like our customer service excellence. And they're leading and showing within that we have a great star rating and a number of reviews that you can take a look at. So all of those are ways, we've even built this into our product. You can see here, you're able to brand it, make it look like that. But it takes and immediately shows the number of your reviews in a summary and then a CTA to click out to it. And we have a few different design styles that go along with that. The next one is review recency, right? And number one is we'll look at statistically in a second, consumers really care about recency. And this is really on the rise too. The next thing it does is it provides credibility, right? I always say we live in a what have you done for me lately world. So I might not want to read a review from 2 years ago, 1 year ago, anything else that's there. And this also just points out too that you need to continuously be building reviews instead of, hey, reviews are our third quarter tactic that we're going after. You need them continuously. All the more reason to bake it into your business. And then I want to point out to you how the review sites actually make the users work to find recency, even though it's so important to them. But you can do a better job of this when you display them on your own site. So if we take a look, Bright Local for I think the last 4 or 5 years now, they do a consumer review survey every year. And in their last one in 2019, we see it's risen to the top that recency is the most important factor that they're paying attention to, slightly ahead of the star rating and ahead of the quality of reviews that are there as well. So having that recent review within the last days, weeks, month greatly matters to the prospect that's out there researching your business. So a really easy way to do this, here's Pods, one of our customers, like within the same day, because our system helps them stream up there, you're going to see reviews from today, from yesterday that are already up on the website. And they're organized by the recency of review by default, because we understand how important that is to them. And understand when they're out at some of the other sites, that's not what you're getting, right? If I go to read, here's a screenshot from Google reviews. Google is automatically sorting them by what they call most relevant. And most relevant to Google is a number of different pieces of criteria. Recency is just one of them. It also depends on, did they type more than a certain amount of characters? What did they talk about? How does it relate to other reviews? Did they add photos? Things like that. So the most recent review can be from months ago, half a year ago, a year ago even, to what's there, depending upon the review volume. So even though the searcher cares about this most, Google's not presenting it right up front. Yelp either, right? No surprise, Yelp has their own mysterious formula. It's not even what's relevant, it's the Yelp sort. And it's the same way, right? And this really is one, Yelp does about 10, 15 different things that drive business owners and marketers nuts. This is just one of them where they'll say like, why is a review from 8 months ago the one showing up first at the top of my reviews when I have all these other reviews that have come in since then that are better reviews, stronger reviews, and more accurate to what's there. And Facebook does this with their recommendations as well. So there's the tab that you land on when you go to reviews is most helpful. So they're using that, and then you can tab over to most recent. So with any of these filters, you can get to most recent, but the reviewer or the prospect out there has to know that this filter even exists and that it's there. And let's face it, I would guess 90% of them have no idea that that's the case. So you want to get to a point where your reviews on that page contain the most recent reviews and order them in, date order, in chronological order, more so than you're doing anything else. The next thing that you can do is there's a number of tools that are out there to allow you to do this. WordPress plugins, services. Again, this is a feature within GatherUp, is bringing a pop-up onto the screen, right? In our case, this rotates through your last 30 reviews. It's not sharing the content. It's really designed to say, here's a site, here's the star rating, and here's the date on which we received this review. So it's really easy to rotate and just show we have a lot of recent reviews from happy customers. And no matter what page you're at on our site, you're going to see the rotation of these reviews on there. So they can definitely be very helpful to just give them a snapshot of the recency of great reviews coming in. The next one out of recency is then, organizing them by location. And this is how it already exists out in the world, right? Your Google My Business profile, your Yelp profile, your Better Business Bureau profile, all these exist by location that's out there. But if you display these by location on your own site, then you are allowed to be the source. And one of the great things is if you're streaming and pushing these up to those pages, you are boosting what I call, content thin location pages. A majority of location pages are map, hours, a couple of photos, a couple of lines of text, and that's it, right? It really doesn't meet a high quality guideline. And as you guys know in search, like based on proximity and mobile searches and things like that, those location pages of, where you're gonna go, for food or to shop for something, find a plumber, those matter, and those rank really well in organic searches. So you definitely wanna have those be thick with content. You're also helping save prospects time if you use a service and you're monitoring everything and bringing all of those into one place. So that omni-channel or density of all those together really help build. And then I would also add as a bonus, like think about authenticity and trust and display all of your reviews instead of only displaying your 4- and 5-star reviews. So as I mentioned, one bonus, if you can be the one source, instead of them having to go to 2, 3, 5, 6 different review sites, depending upon the industry you're in, and you can source all those together in one place, that's a great shortcut to offer your customer. It's also a great thing to even market and say, like, you can read over X amount of hundreds of reviews from 5 different sources all in one place on our website. A really great way to drive your customer to read about those great experiences that are there. Here's an example of a location page for a business, exactly what I talked about, map, hours, photos. But then when you bring in reviews now you're bringing in dozens, possibly hundreds of reviews that have all kinds of keyword-rich content that are talking about the things that you sell, the services you provide, all of those other elements. And in this case, you're probably giving 4, 5, 10 times the content to this page than what already existed there. So extremely helpful along those lines. And when we take a look at these things, as I was talking about, helping rank in organic search, right? This is what you're gonna end up seeing is these pages pop a lot better because of that. And even though there's still a lot of fluctuation around review schema and things like that, especially with multi-locations, we still see review schema for locations coming into play. So as you can see here, not only does this clean juice organic listing appear high, and it's driving traffic to a page you own instead of the Yelp listing, it's showing the review stars as well. Here's the same one for just a general search for an insurance agent in Maple Grove. And you can see here that Greg's page ranks extremely well and also gets a snippet with his photo and the review snippet. Another thing you can do, right, if you're a little bit more sophisticated with your location pages, some people create mini websites inside. This home care business does that where I'm in the location, then I click a reviews tab, and now I'm able to see the reviews are there. So if you've expanded past just the location landing page and you really have almost a microsite of 3, 5, 6 pages all around that location to help drive even more localized organic traffic, having a reviews tab can be a great way to drive that. And lastly, as I touched upon authenticity, this is something we've really seen evolve and more businesses paying attention to. As marketers, we want to just sculpt the best and optimize, right? So there's definitely a tendency just to say, hey, let's just show and post our great 4- and 5-star reviews. But consumers really want authenticity more than anything else. So we really advise companies, and more, we really see big companies leading the charge on this. Pods that I showed you, Allstate, both of them for a number of years have posted all of their reviews, even their 1-stars. They're posting up to their site and they're making sure they reply. And it's really about showing customers that, hey, when bad things do happen, we listen and we're going to respond and reach out to you. And one of the best things you can do with a customer to do that is just create a review terms of service as well, because this helps them in case they don't want to show a review, right? If it has poor language, if it mentions a competitor or pricing, like you can definitely build terms of service around what you're willing to show, so you don't have to show ultimately everything. But really at the end of the day, if you didn't provide great service, the customer didn't have a good experience, you should be sharing those and not just sculpting that your rating is a 4.8, where when you go to Yelp or Google, it becomes much lower than that. The next one that we're going to look at that I think is really a home run, especially for SEOs, is by theme or keyword in it, right? Like, so reviews are already parsed out by location, but really at the end of the day, your reviewers are likely talking about a specific service, a specific product, maybe a specific staff member on the type of business it is, like it's something in medical or something in real estate. And these really help bolster those pages and create content and trust and conversion. So an easy example of this would be, take like an auto care store, right? If I jump under services, both to help the customer and a smart SEO has already built out dedicated pages to brakes and tires and alignment and services. And so these pages exist and they have their content, but why not take when these pages are broken out and drive review content to them as well? So in an example here would be like Publix grocery store in the South, the Southeast, is when you come into it, they have a liquor store. I can click in and go to the liquor store landing page. But Publix has a ton of reviews where the customer is citing what they like about the liquor stores and the fact that the liquor store is there. And this is great content to work into that page to show a rating, to show the number of reviews that are talking that they offer a liquor store. Looking at our customer Clean Juice again, in the example here is they have a page dedicated to cleanses. This is like one of their feature kind of product groupings. And so when I go to the cleanse page and I start scrolling through it, what we've done is automatically scrape out all of the reviews that are talking about juice cleanses. So we have a feature in our tool that automates this. So every time we see words like juice cleanse, cleanses, anything else like that, we're automatically going to grab that review and put it into this bucket and push it up to this specific page. So here's a great way where they have 7,000 reviews talking about juice cleanses. Like, you can do endless amounts of research in order to gain trust in what the juice cleanse offers and how many people are buying into it and using it. Here's another example, more product driven. So here's a jeweler. They have an engagement rings page, content, video from the owner, visuals of the style. Now, every one of the reviews populated here are again mentioning rings, engagement ring, diamond ring, any of those elements. So all of these are, exactly relevant to the page that you're looking at. None of these are talking about earrings or a necklace or anything else. It's all about people telling their story of purchasing an engagement ring from this jeweler. So as an SEO, I would definitely look at that fourth one as a major home run to how can we bring trustworthy content into the mix by building them apart by themes. The last one is social media. And I see this as a really great win because, one, most businesses are really just searching all the time for what's good enough to share out on social media. And this is what also allows your reviews to be timeless. You can take a review from 5 years ago, construct it and drop the date, and you can tell that story right now today on July 22nd in 2020, even though it was left 5 years ago, which is really awesome to keep reusing them. And I would tell you with this though, to like, instead of just doing text, I would adapt to the benefits and the needs of social media and make it more visual. Here's an example of a solution that helps put this out. This is for a rim company, 5-star review about the rims, and you can read about what the user has to say. The next examples are out of a feature in ours called social sharing that allows you to put together a background image, color scheme, whatever that might be. But as you can see, we help pull out what's the source, what's the star rating, and what's the customer's comment, where are they leaving it from? And we drop the date out of it because we just want to get across the customer's story in their review and not the date with it. So here's one for Clean Juice. Here's one for a simple lawn mowing business here in the Twin Cities, right? You could have your lawn, the person who mowed the lawn, take a picture after they cut it and build up a repository of photos to run behind different reviews over time. Here's for a painter, had a bathroom repainted, wall, ceiling, and the cabinets, and that they all look great. You could create custom backgrounds and put these together where it has the branding of the business on it. So not only are you seeing where the source is from, but you can see the business itself. And there's obviously a ton of tools to do this, right? Like we built this because we wanted to make it happen in a couple clicks, and then we integrate with the social sites. So you can make an update and it'll push to each of the social sites. But you can use Canva for this, and there's a number of other tools that allow you to create these visual elements and then post them out there. And then just to kind of tie in the way things are too, like here's a review during the COVID era where this customer is talking about and saying like, hey, we did takeout from this place and we've been eating a lot of takeout supporting local businesses, but like this was the easiest by far. And reviews right now are such a great tool to understand the changes we've made in our business, our process, how we deal with people, our health and safety measures, like are we performing on that? So when you get something like this and then you can go share it out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, your other social networks, like it's just a gold amplification to bring that out. And here's just a few different examples of what these look like when you share them on Twitter, Google Post, Instagram. So in summary on the 5X strategy, stop just thinking your job is done when you acquire that review and start thinking, how do you repurpose all of these as marketing tactics, strategy, content, conversion, trust, social proof, surmise, organize them by recency because that matters to the users, organize them by location, which if you're using a platform should already do that for you. Go a step deeper, find out how either manually or through the right tool you can organize them through themes and keywords so that you can attach them to more pages, and then use social media to reuse these over and over again from what's there. So the bonus that I wanted to give to tie these things off is I think any smart marketer always learns from what they're seeing going on. And this, I think, is a strategical advantage is one, you want to start to pick out like what is the difference in both great and poor experiences? Because as a marketer, if people are willing to talk about something, that's a great experience that you should be writing content about, outlining, make sure you're touching on, because it's obviously a differentiator to the customer. And if it's something that's poor, you want to be able to point that out to the business and say, hey, you need to shore up this challenge, because if you turn it into a plus, now it's something that we can talk about, we can accentuate, and we can push. You want to understand the sentiment of the terms that they're using. A lot of solutions now have natural language processing. Somebody's already mentioning some of their Moz takeaways, machine learning, natural language processing is part of that AI family and things like that. And then you want to spot trends with how things are changing. So really an easy thing and a big thing I'd tell people to look at as outlining is like, what are the difference makers? What is it repeatedly that you see? What's a trend in your 1-star reviews? What's a trend in your 5-star reviews? And how do you deal with each of those appropriately? In our tool, we have a insights report that's actually powered and uses IBM Watson. So it's going to go through and tell you, what are positive sentiment words being used? How often are they being mentioned in your reviews? And what's the sentiment rating of it? Positives are 2.6 and above, and your negatives are 2.5 and below in Watson's sentiment scoring system. So it's going to easily give you a list. One other thing that we do that I think is really cool is we have an impact chart. And the way to understand this is really looking at like, what is our review average? And then what's bringing our average up and what's bringing our average down? So if you look closely at the chart here, that dashed line is this business has a 4.6 average review rating, a very high rating. And what they've done is they've used our tool in building themes to understand when people talk about this, where does this theme end up? So you can see that like reviews that talk about being greeted with a smile, the person had a smile, anything else, extremely high rating and mentioned in a ton of reviews, which is awesome. And so is the word service. So that's fantastic. But what's really interesting that came about that this customer was smart and they basically started targeting, if people are talking about masks, gloves, COVID safety precautions, tag it with mask. And we see here that when people are talking about masks, that review rating averages a 3, and over 200 reviews were talking about it. And what this helped the customer do is it was the canary in a coal mine that even though they had put procedures in place, their locations were not acting on them correctly. And they were getting pinged with reviews like this, where neither of the two employees, when this person went in, were wearing a mask, even though she was on. And she also felt like they gave her the evil eye because she was wearing a mask. And we've seen this more and more as we've driven into the mask and anti-mask culture and things like this. More than anything, when guidelines aren't followed, those people are more vocal than any of the others. And they're also very vocal when you're doing it right. A lot of positive reviews come out of it too. But in this case, because you're actually trying to learn from the reviews, this company said we had no other way to know in mass that our 100+ locations were doing it right. We found out they were doing it wrong based on this report. So hopefully you got quite a bit out of that, a little bit on acquiring reviews, a lot on all the ways and all the things you can do once you have those reviews, and hopefully some ideas if you're not doing anything or tracking anything that's COVID, mask, safety, changes to how you're selling or doing business. You definitely want to find some ways to institute that and see, ultimately, it doesn't matter how you feel about your new process changes. How does your customer feel about those process changes? And you really need to have a quick feedback loop set up to know if you're doing it right so you can make quick adjustments and go from there.
Oh my goodness, Aaron, thank you so much. My brain is just expanding right now. So we actually have a few questions that came through.
Fabulous.
What was that? Okay, so we have one from Molly Youngblood. She says, today it was discovered that Google is starting to offer an upgraded business profile for a Google My Business listing for $50 a month. That will add a Google Guaranteed badge to the listing and back services the business provides with the Google Guarantee. I'm curious how having this badge would increase reviews for a business.
Yeah, well, Molly, since it was just announced today, we definitely don't have anything. And hi, Molly, you and I have been Twitter friends for a while, so thanks for joining MnSearch's event. Yeah, yet to be seen. I don't have any back channel information on that. Oh, Molly Nicholson. Sorry, Molly. The other one. Yeah, no, Molly. All right, forget it. We got too many Mollys in the chat. No, another Molly. But other Molly, I've met you in person, so you can't say that. All right, now that we've confused everyone else that's not a Molly. Yeah, there isn't any known benefit right now. This is really interesting, right? Because we continue to see that Google is working in pay for play, right? And it's coming into GMB with this. And it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, if there's some blowback, what goes on with this. So I can't say anything unrelated to reviews yet. It's kind of interesting attaching, you know, you're kind of selling credibility because you're saying, we're going to put a badge on here for $50. As many people in some of like the Slack groups I'm part of today, they're like, hey, I'll pay $50 just to be able to have like more of a direct line to support or talking to someone because I'm spending money. But yet to be seen on how that might affect reviews. But a very interesting revelation for sure. Very interesting change.
Awesome, thank you. Next up from Anonymous. I see so many clients that have a dedicated testimonials page, which just lists the text reviews. I don't feel like it adds much oomph to the site or other pages. Should they redo these pages and restructure the reviews? And then this person followed up with, you kind of already answered that with number 4, but I figured I just would include it to see if there's anything else you'd like to add.
Yeah, if you go back and remember the what I shared from the Bright Local survey, right? Quantity and star rating were very high up. So when you have a page that's just testimonials, one, it is a very, very good thing. But when you give them those cheats of, it's a 4.8 rating, there's 212 of the reviews, and now you can read through all of them, you're giving them everything that they want. You're giving them a high level synopsis. You're giving it structured in a structure that they understand, and you're sharing everything that's poured in with it. Again, instead of just picking some of the testimonials. So I think from that standpoint, there's a ton of wins by having it done that way, where if somebody wants to read a ton, you can still do that. But if you just want a high level to like build trust and feel good about it, you have that too. So I would definitely hedge toward that. And we see some people do a mixture where they will use like a review widget or display like that, and then they'll put testimonials down below, because sometimes when they've asked for those testimonials, your best customers have written paragraphs for you, or maybe even included a photo. So it doesn't mean to throw those out, but you maybe want to think, how can I form trust as fast as possible? And for those that want to dig in, I still allow them to dig in deep.
Awesome, thanks. And I think a follow-up just came through. Is there a minimum amount of reviews that you want to reach before displaying this info?
Boy, I don't know if that, I mean, maybe double digits, maybe 10. And here's another reason why I point out to people, and I hope everyone understands the difference between first-party review and third-party review, right? First-party review is a review they give you directly, and as long as you capture it, like our system captures it in a 5-star rating, has the content, and it structurally looks just like a review that's from Google or Yelp or somewhere else. When you're asking people for reviews, you will end up getting so many more reviews directly from people, as I mentioned. So to get like 10 reviews that are first party is super easy. Most businesses, if you just send out a blast to like 50 customers, you'll get those 10 reviews. To get 10 Google reviews, you might have to ask 200, 300 customers, depending upon how you ask, when they last did business with you, and everything else. So I guess if I have to give a number to somebody, let's just say 10. But I would say, don't make it have to be 10 Google reviews. I would actually say, like, go use a format where you can ask your customers for reviews and present them that way. And if you're doing it directly, you'll get them in a matter of days and be off and running.
Perfect. So next question is from MnSearch's own Seth Epstein. Unless I missed while I was pouring a new drink, do you foresee video reviews becoming a feature of some of these platforms? Is it already on any review platforms? Now, when I advise businesses to get a video testimonial / review, it requires them to do another ask on top of their outreach for getting reviews.
Yep. I do think it will become more important. There's services specifically built around video requests and things like that. Definitely something I'm keeping in mind for the future and how things go. Especially when you can start to consider, if they do a video review, then you could build a system that took the transcript out of it, and that would create the text. And things like that. So there are those opportunities. I think especially for if you have a very like hands-on type service or process, I think it can be really helpful. Or you have a very high level ticket item where building as much trust is needed. That might be something. But when you look at the leaders in the space, Google, Yelp, things like that, not so much into video just yet or pushing it. I'd keep it on your radar, and it might be a good differentiator for you, but I would definitely start with, do we have good, solid rating and textual reviews?
Perfect, thank you for that. I actually had a question. So something I've kind of seen lately is like reviews as part of the brand, whether like reviews on Amazon going viral and that kind of being the main like attraction, or like Instagram accounts like the New York Times cooking comments and reviews. Just wondering if you've seen any like reviews go viral and how that might help or hurt a brand.
Yeah, more so it happens on the negative side quite frequently. And I think that the aspect of it goes viral when something else goes wrong, right? Like, I don't know, we usually have like a weekly Karen appearance now by somebody being filmed doing something stupid. And then the next thing people do is go discover where said Karen works, and she happens to be a lawyer at this law firm. And then the law firm profile just starts getting bombed with negative reviews, right? Like that's the most hand-in-hand thing we see right now. And it's kind of the point, right? Yelp and Google both specifically are pretty good now about shutting that down the minute they see that velocity hit of this business had 50 reviews, but they just got 200 in 20 minutes, and shut that off. But usually that's the negative viral side that we see that happen with more. And let's face it, like reviews are a way for consumers to give a platform to their content, right? We see this with Yelpers where they literally will write a short story about a visit to a cupcake shop, right? Where you're just like, how do you even have the time to like 2 hours pour yourself into this? And sometimes they're funny and whatever else that's there. So it's like, there's always going to be some of that when you give somebody a way to be easily published online and put something out there. There's always going to be a chance of virality with it. But for the most part, it usually ends up being negative. It's usually you're in a bad spot.
That's a super good perspective. Yeah, the animosity at these cupcake shops is just, it's insane. All right, well, that was actually all the questions that came through. Let me just double check. Yeah, all right. Well, I think we're at about time. So thank you so much, Aaron, for coming and sharing this awesome information with us. I mean, I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say it was super insightful, and I think everyone's itching right now to just go ask someone for a review. So, and then I've seen a few people ask in the questions about getting this presentation. So we, with Aaron's permission, we are recording, and we'll, be sending the recording and slides out via email, and hopefully in the next week or two. So, all right, thanks so much. We're going to be heading off here soon. So, Aaron, I'll leave it to you.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. And yeah, share this stuff away. I'm trying to change the world one review at a time. It's the only thing I can manage to do. I don't have a greater impact on the world yet. So I'll just try to do it through how to best use reviews.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, Aaron. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks, everybody.